Next method to separate the components of mixtures is fractional distillation. Now this technique is used to separate the miscible liquids only, but boiling points are very close of these components. In simple distillation we have done that method is used to separate the miscible liquids only, but those liquids which have a large difference in their boiling points. But in fractional distillation the boiling points are close to one another and difference is less than 25 Kelvin here. If this much of difference is there, then what will happen if we do the simple distillation? The vapors of both the components will evaporate and they will mix up, and when we condense again we'll get the mixture back. So how we can keep the two components separate away from each other so that they should not mix? In this method we take a fractionating column. Fractionating means fractions are there in this. So the components are not mixing up, they will remain in fractions only. And what is fractionating column? It is a long glass tube. Different kind of fractionating columns are available. The one that I'm drawing here. So there are obstructions in this fractionating column. I'm taking the one with the glass beads packed inside. Small glass beads are packed here, so the vapors will not come here and mix up here. First of all, they have to pass through these beads, and the passage for the vapors to move from one bead to the another bead like this. One more kind of fractionating column is where in place of beads we have pipes. There's a network of pipes here. Vapors enter into this and then there we have glass pipes packed like this. So vapors are moving into these pipes. So like this, the whole this fractionating column is packed like this only. These are two types of the fractionating columns that I have drawn. So for fractional distillation, we need a fractionating column, which is a long glass tube. And in this, there are obstructions to the vapors rising upward. The vapors which are rising upward, they move into these and the liquid will come down from this thing. They will condense also slowly and slowly. So which liquid vapor, so they will condense first. The one which has a more boiling point will condense first. So glass tube is packed with these beads, and this is attached to the distillation flask. So the operators that we are using, in that there's one more thing there, that is fractionating column. I'm taking an example of mixture of benzene and chloroform here. How we can separate the benzene from chloroform. Apparatus is, again we take a stand here. Tripod stand. On the top of this tripod stand we'll keep a flask. Round bottom flask. And this we have to heat. Now on the mouth of this flask, now we are not attaching the condenser here. Here first of all we attach this fractionating column. A fractionating column in which we have a bulb also. From here we can pass a bulb, that is thermometer. Fractionating column, any kind of fractionating column we can draw here. And this end of fractionating column, this is attached to the condenser. Around this we have a jacket in which the water flows. From one side the cold water enters and from the other side the hot water comes out. Other end of this condenser, this is dipped in a flask in which we collect the liquid that has a low boiling point first. Then we have to heat this flask using a burner. So whenever we're drawing a diagram, the labeling, it has to be complete. This is apparatus that we are using. So now the labeling part of this, in this we will get pure liquid component. From this side, there's a inlet for cold water. So water is actually here in this part of the flask. It is circulating here in this. And then we have, this is condenser. This is the water outlet, water comes out from here. This is a cork, thermometer. This is clamp to fix this apparatus. This is fractionating column. This is distillation flask. In distillation flask, we'll take a mixture. Now mixture here is of two liquids, that is benzene and chloroform we are taking here. And then we collect a pure liquid here this side also. In this flask also, here what we'll have is a vapors of a liquid, and these vapors, they will condense. They will come into this, mixes into this. So this is the apparatus that we use for the fractional distillation. Now the procedure for this thing, how this works. So when a liquid mixture here, this is heated, what will happen? The temperature slowly and slowly will rise, and the vapors, they will start forming. And vapors here are of both the components here, because there is not a much difference in the boiling point of the two components. So vapors here are of both the components, but mainly this is of the volatile component because that has a less boiling point. So mixture is here, but we will have more amount of that component whose boiling point is low. So when they will reach here, what will happen? The vapors, they will start condensing, they will fall back here, again they are distilled, they are heated, again they are moving up, and again they will condense like this. So this process is going. But slowly and slowly during this process, what will happen? The vapors, they will get the chance to move slowly and slowly to the top part. But which component will reach to the top part? First of all, the one which is more volatile. That is, out of the two, chloroform is more volatile because its boiling point is low. So repeated here distillation is going on, condensation is going on, and slowly in this process, here at the top part, the vapors of the more volatile component, they will reach, and they come into this condenser. When they come into the condenser and the cold water falls on these vapors, they will start condensing. Condensing means they will change to liquid form. So liquid, they are heavy, they will start falling down into this flask. So which component we get here? The one which has a low boiling point, that is, in this example, this is the chloroform here. Here which one we are getting? Chloroform. And which component will be left here in the distillation flask? That is the benzene. Or slowly and slowly what happens is, First of all, when we see the liquid coming here, we'll keep a container, we collect the chloroform. But after some time, what will happen is you will not see any liquid coming here. Remove this flask. Again, within few minutes, you will see some other vapors reaching to this part. And then again, you see some liquids are coming here. Keep another container here and collect that liquid. That will be of the benzene, the one that has a more boiling point here. So like this, we can obtain the components using the fractional distillation. In fractions, we are getting these components. First, that fraction we get which has a low boiling point. Then the second fraction we'll get which has a high boiling point. Applications of this method, where we use this thing, these two I'm labeling, these are fractionating columns. Now, applications of this. One use of this method is to separate the air into the oxygen, nitrogen, noble gases. That means separation of different gases from the liquefied air. Second application is this method is used to separate components of crude oil like gasoline, kerosene oil, diesel, lubricating oil. These also we can separate using the fractional distillation method. Now I'm taking up the application, the first application, the separation of different components of gases using this method. How we can obtain these gases. So heading now is isolation of different gases from air. We know air is a homogeneous mixture of different gases. Mainly we say that there are three gases present in an air, and these are nitrogen, which is approximately 78% by volume of air. Then second gas, important one, is oxygen, approximately 21% by volume of air. And then we take a noble gas, that is argon, which is 0.9% by volume of air. And all these we can separate with the help of fractional distillation method of liquefied air. So we need a liquefied air here. The process is, first of all, we have to dry the air. The first step here is we have to dry the air by removing moisture from it. Remove moisture. And then we take this dry air and it is compressed to a very high pressure of 200 atmospheric, and we remove CO2 because that will change to the solid form as dry ice. So first we have removed the moisture, second we have removed the carbon dioxide from this, and then this dry air we have to expand it rapidly. So when we expand this, and this process we are repeating several times, so what will happen is the air will change to liquid form. So we have taken a liquefied air now. What will be the fourth step now? Now we do the liquid air and do its fractional distillation, and different gases will separate out at a different height in this fractional distillation tower. Now I'm drawing a flow chart of this separation of different gases of air. Dry air we have taken first of all, and then this dry air, what we have to do is we have to change this to the liquid form, and then this liquid air we have to send it to the fractional distillation tower, and then in that fractional distillation tower the different gases will separate at different height. So lowest boiling point here is of the nitrogen, so on the top part we'll get the nitrogen here, and then we are getting argon, and mainly the residue at the bottom part is of which gas? That is of the oxygen gas. The boiling points of these also we have to learn. It's minus 196 degrees Celsius, minus 186 degrees Celsius, and this is minus 183 degrees Celsius. So dry air, first of all we have to compress it then we have to cool it, and then we have to expand it rapidly. So rapid expansion. When we do this thing repeatedly, the dry air will change to the liquid form, and then this liquid air is subjected to fractional distillation. It is sent to a fractional distillation jar, and these gases will separate at different heights in this fractional distillation jar. This is the method that how we can separate the different components of air, how these can be separated. So this is the technique that we use, that is fractional distillation. So this is use of fractional distillation method. With the help of this method, we can separate the components of air. This is the flow chart for this process. Now, next we are doing here is the purification of drinking water. How we can purify our drinking water? Purification of drinking water in waterworks. In this case, different steps are there. First of all, water is taken from a water reservoir, that is from the river, from the well. This is the water reservoir. This water is pumped and it is sent to, there's a pump here, big pump is here, from the reservoir, water is sent to a sedimentation tank, a big tank in which water is stored now. Water sedimentation tank. So just water is kept here in this tank for some time. All the heavy particles is settled down in this tank. So this is a sedimentation tank. This is pump. This is water reservoir. Water is taken from this reservoir, then pumped into a sedimentation tank. From the sedimentation tank, the water is sent to the next tank. In this tank, there is alum. Alum is fitkari that makes all the suspended particles heavy, like those of clay and all that. So this is called a loading tank. This tank is called which tank? Loading, because it will make the clay particles very heavy, and these particles then slowly and slowly they will settle down. From this loading tank, now water is sent to a filtration tank. This is the main part here for the purification of drinking water. Filtration tank. Filtration tank, this has 3 layers in it. At the bottom part, in the filtration tank, there's a coarse gravel packed here. Above the coarse gravel, in the middle part, we will have here a fine gravels. Fine gravel is packed on the top of the coarse gravel here. And on the top of this, a fine sand is packed. This is the coarse gravel, this is the fine gravel, and on the top of this, we have a very fine sand layer packed on the top of this. The water here in the filtration tank. Even here what we have is a reservoir, so this has a water in it. Is open, we can see this color. So water comes into this loading tank, and before the loading tank, this has to pass through this pump, because pump only will push, it will send the water to the next tank. So this is a pump here which is sending the water to the next tank, And what is packed in this next tank, I told you, is alum is packed here. So because of alum, what will happen? The particles, they will become heavy. And when they will become heavy, which particles become heavy here? Mostly it's the clay particles which will become heavy here. And these particles, they settle down here in the tank only at the bottom part. And after the removal of these clay particles from here, the water is sent into this tank, sedimentation tank, to the loading tank. In the loading tank, only the clay particles, they are becoming heavy and they are settling down. And then from the loading tank, the water comes into which tank? That is a filtration tank. The labeling of this part is, this is the coarse gravel. Middle layer, this is the fine gravel particles. And at the top here, we had drawn these small particles. These are the fine sand particles. Fine sand particles. So these particles should be of little big size because this is the coarse gravel as compared to the fine sand particles. Then after this, the water is sent to the next tank, which is called the chlorination tank. Chlorination tank means there's a chlorine in this tank, and chlorine will kill all the pathogens, the bacteria which are there in this water. And now this water is fit for the drinking purpose, and from here the water comes out to our homes. From here the water is sent to the homes, and this water is now fit for the drinking purpose. So this tank is known as which tank? Chlorination tank. So what is there in this chlorination tank is, there is chlorine in this tank which will kill all the pathogens, the bacteria in the water. So this is the purification of drinking water in water tanks, how this tank works here. I'm explaining once again this part. First of all, water reservoir is there. In water reservoir, the water, all the suspended impurities, they will remain here. So we can label here, these are the suspended impurities, because when water is there in this, it's kept here, all the heavy particles slowly and slowly, the sand particles and all that, they settle down. Then water is sent to the next part, that is, it is pumped into the sedimentation tank. So what happens in sedimentation tank? It allows suspended solids to settle. In this tank, suspended solids, they settle down. And then from sedimentation tank, the water comes into this loading tank. In loading tank, there is alum. Alum makes the clay particles very heavy. It is added to allow other suspended impurities to settle down, like the clay particles, they will settle down here in this tank. From the loading tank, the water comes into this filtration tank. In the filtration tank, there are 3 layers. One is of the coarse gravel, then the center part, fine gravel is there. On the top, there is a fine sand. So when water comes into this tank, from this, it is slowly and slowly rising up. Impure water comes into this thing. And as the water is rising up, all impurities in water are retained here. And on the top here, what we'll have is a pure water. And then this pure water is sent into the next tank, that is the chlorination tank. It will kill all the germs and the pathogens in the water. And now this water is sent to the homes. This is suitable for the drinking purpose. So this is the purification of drinking water.